Welcome to the backend. So I'll be focusing more on the user controller, more of authentication, signing up. So signing up is like creating a user for the software, for the application, right? So there are a few things I would need to import. So the first of it is just watch along, right? Just watch along. When we reach that, I will explain better, or let's just proceed first. Let's just proceed first. Okay. Trust me. I would be communicating with the user model, like in the case of the tax controller that was communicating with the tax model. So for the user controller, it communicates with the user model. So I need to import that. Right? It's going to be cons user equal to require. Okay. We all know this models and target the user. Right. Cool. Now our CRUD operations, our C, which is create, stands for signing up when you're signing up a user. So let's create cons sign up, which is equal to, it's an synchronous process. So I think, okay, taking a request and a response, right? And expression. Now I want to extract the data. I want to extract the data from the body, right? I'm not just expecting one. Like there are two ways about it, right? I can use cons data now. Let me explain a bit about this. This data is an object, right? This cons data is an object. It is expecting everything in the body, right? But assuming I want to extract just the title. Let's say I want to extract just the title from the body. I don't want this data, means I'm extracting everything in the body. But assuming I just want to extract the data from the body, it's just, yeah. So how we go about that is, there are two ways to it. Now it's either you do this or you do this other one, which is okay, I'm going to show you the second way now. Let me use this user controller second way, right? So extracting the data from the body individually, right? Individually. Let me go to our, let this place be our model so we can see everything here. So I'm expecting what? I'm expecting the email password. I'm expecting email, password, and name, right? I'm expecting email, password, and name. Email, password, and name from the request body. So it's just three things. So it's going to be, I'm expecting the email, right? Password and name. It has to be the same, right? Equal to request dot body. So this is what we call extracting the information from the body after the express.json has already passed it to JSON. Now I'm extracting them, right? Cool. So let me use console log. So we just see how everything is working. Console.log, right? Console.log email this so we can go like this and me email comma name password, right? Okay, so extracting it from this. So let me just put the location from the sign up controller so that I locate it, and when I'm done with everything, cleaning it up, like removing the console because it's not needed. I'm just using it for explanation purpose. That's why it will easily help me locate where this console is coming from. All right. So after extracting the data, right? After extracting the data, now one thing we should know is that in our model, right, we are trying to make our email unique. We're trying to make unique. So we don't want more than one person to use the same email, right? It's not going to make sense because the email is like our unique ID for saying, hey, this user is this user, because you have this uniqueness. Which was the uniqueness? We're using the email, right, to make sure that that email only belongs to you and no other person. So you need to avoid the scenario whereby more than one person is creating the same email. So we'd have to check for um existing email, right? Okay. Then mind you, like I said earlier, for every implementation, everything should be in the try and catch. I just take note of that. Try and catch. So control dot, everything should be in the try and catch. Right. So let's progress. So let me just use comments, extracting the from the body, right? Next is checking for existing data. Checking for existing users. Checking for existing users. So how do we go about that? Checking for existing users. So first of all, we need to create a function, a name, a variable cons existing equal to user dot find one. So if this existing user finds an email that is already in the database, right, what should happen? Find one. So this existing user is finding the email that is coming from here, right? Find one. What am I finding? Let's see the documentation. So I'm looking for what? I'm looking for this email. So I'm looking for what? Email, right? I'm looking for this existing email. So this existing user is trying to get the email from the database. So if it finally gets the email, it means it's not null, right? So how do we represent that? If existing user, right, what should happen? Meaning if this is not null, meaning there is an email in the database already. So what should happen? If there is an existing user, right, what should happen? Return what? A response dot status 400, right? Then convert it to JSON, then the message with a message saying what? User already exists. User already exists. Are we good? So user already exists. You have returned it. So this is more like those sign up. If you've been going through web pages, you sign up and you use an email that has been used before. You see messages like email already in use, user already exists, all those kind of things, right? Cool. So this is the backend that is sending that response to the front end. Okay. So if this is so, do this. We'll see how everything plays out. Don't worry. Right. So let me just console log. Let me just copy this first and then console log. Okay. So existing user is what existing user. So see how everything plays out. All right. Existing user, existing user. So if there is a data, right, it means there's the user that's having that same email. So return this and don't execute any other code down. That's the whole idea of this checking for existing users, right? Good. Next now has to do with so for the check for if this line, if this doesn't return, like if there is no existing user, right? What do we need to check for? It means we have successfully put in our email, we have put in our password, everything is okay, our name, everything is okay. Now the next thing we need to take care of is hashing the password. Why do I need to hash the password? Like, why do I need to hash the password? Have you ever wondered why one needs to hash the password? So assuming I wrote this, I don't hash. Let's say I am the one that created this code, this function that signs a user, and I didn't hash the user's password. What do you think will happen? Let's go to MongoDB first. Let's go to MongoDB. So this is my MongoDB, Mongo database, right? It has currently has just 5 users. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Imagine this, right? That's why there are some websites, like maybe you have seen those websites, fake websites, whereby they just send you the link and they're asking you to log in your details. And they now finally get your password, which was used to hack your Facebook account. That is because they know what they did. They didn't actually hash your password. So it is very, very easy for them to see your password, right? It's very easy for them to see your password. And now if you check this user now, this first user now, password, if you notice the password is this. So this is trying to tell us that this is someone's database, and it's someone's database. So this is telling us that as a backend developer, right, writing the code, whenever you hash a user's password, you're trying to put security measures to make sure that the person using your application should find it safe. Like it should, your software, the application you're building should be safe, right? I shouldn't impute my sign up, and before I know someone is using my account, I should make sure that whatever password that is coming from the front end, I don't know what it is, even though I have access to the back end and I'm seeing everything. I'm seeing all the users that is being signed off. I'm seeing the email, password, this and that. I can't know your password because I have, before it's saved to the database, I have already hashed it. I have hashed the password. So like this now, I don't know what your password is. because I have implemented the code whereby whatever password you have, it will be known to only you and not the developer, right? So that is that this is a hashed password. If it's not hashed, I would definitely say the direct password. That is, maybe your password was 12345. I will see 12345 here. But know that your 12345, after it has been hashed, can give you this long text, these long strings. So just take note of that, the importance of hashing. As a backend developer, when signing up, when implementing your signing up, you need to hash person's password, right, for security purpose. All right, thanks. So next is hashing the password, right? So how do we hash the password? Remember we in our dependencies, right? In our dependencies, let's go to our dependencies. Let's go to our dependencies. So in our dependencies, there is a package called bcrypt, right? There's a package called bcrypt. So bcrypt bcrypt does that, right? Bcrypt does that. I think bcrypt and not. I think I was supposed to install bcrypt and not bcrypt.js because I'm not familiar with bcrypt. I don't know where this bcrypt.js is coming from. Right, so I'll just use bcrypt. Let me go and install bcrypt instead. Let me install bcrypt. Right. So I'll go to my terminal, cd backend to the backend, npm install npm install bcrypt, bcrypt, bcrypt. What's that? So I need to install that. Right, it's already been installed. So this is what I want to use, right? So I'll be using that dependency for my hashing. So I'm going to go to there and import it same way, const bcrypt equal to require bcrypt. Okay, bcrypt, bcrypt. So I've imported it. Now it's time to make use of it. It's time to make use of it. First of all, I'm going to create a salt. So there's what we call a salt, right? Salt is like a random string added to the password to strengthen the hash. It is that salt that is giving this output. It is that salt that is responsible for this. It is the salt that is responsible for this. So I want to set up the salt, right? So const salt equal to now there's something we are skipping, right? When our function is asynchronous, so any dealing with the database like user.find, meaning it's actually going to the database to find this email. So for that purpose, I need to await this process. I need to await it so it doesn't give me unnecessary behavior. I need to await it. Just take note of that. All right. And same thing with this, I need to await this salt, right? Since it's have to do with tampering with the creating the salt, right? I would have to await it. pt bcrypt dot salt generate the salt. So I'm generating that solve that logo. The cost of processing the data default is 10, a promise to be either. It is actually a promise. That is why we are awaiting it. It's always good to read this documentation here, which is telling you anything that has to do with a promise, meaning it has to be awaited, right? It has to be awaited. So this is a process. This is how it's being done. So generate the salt. So give it 10. Default 10. Cost of processing the data. Give it 10. Right. After doing that, what next? I need to hash it, combine it, combine the password we have from the user to this salt to create a hash version of the password. So cons hash password, right, equal to hash password equals to, I have to await it, bcrypt, bcrypt. I'm calling the dependency now, bcrypt. Hey, I want you to hash. It has the function called hash. We check the documentation now. Data to be encrypted, right? Salt around. The salt is to be used in encryption, right? It becomes a promise. So that. So hash. What am I hashing? I'm hashing what? I'm hashing the password, the user's password. It's taking the password, the user's password, right? Which is here, this password here. And what is it taking? It's combining the two, the salt. This through. And that's just it. So we have basically hashed it, right? We've hashed it. All right. So let's see the aftermath of the hashing and just decide to console. Let me copy this as well. We'll be seeing everything in action, don't worry. I'll remove it from the hash. Hash password equals to hash password. Hash password. All right. So that is that. What's the next thing now? After hashing the password, of course, I think everything is done. Or what do I do? What do I need to do next? After hashing the password. Let's check the models first. Let's check the models. So after hashing it, now is to save the user, right? I need to save the user, creating and saving the new user after passing all through those checks. Now I need to save the user, right? Cool. All right, so creating and saving the new user, creating and saving the new user. So how do we do that? Cons new user, right, equal to creating the object now, the new user from our knowledge of object oriented programming, right? Passing what am I passing in? All right, so I'm passing in what? So I'm passing in the email. So I'm passing in what? The email, right? The password, the name, right? Those three first. The email, password, and the name. So I'm going to pass in what? Let's do it. Email, which is a string. So what next? The password now. mind you, if I do it this way, the password now is now equal to, because I have already hashed it, I have to assign the hash password to this password, so that when creating the user, it's not going to create the exact password, it's going to create the hash password. So I'm assigning the hash password to this password. And how do we do that? It's like our equal to, so we use colon for this hash password. Then finally is the name, right? The name is the name, that's why I don't need to put that colon. Name equal to name is still the same thing. Name colon name, email colon. Yeah, it's when there is a change that was made, like the hash password, then I use the colon. All that stuff remain the same. So after doing that, I put my semicolon. Okay, hashed password. Hashed password. I'm seeing an error here. I'm seeing an error somewhere. Why is this error there? Password, password, password. Why am I seeing this error? Expected. It's stunning me. So it takes me time to understand this. All right. So let's see why PASSWORD right now. SASHEDPASS is capital P now. Is that not P? It's P now. What's happening? What's happening, man? It's always like this. I know the error is from somewhere. Comma expected. Okay, good. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, man? Password, 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 password. New user. Oh God, I needed to create. Checking, I will check this thing. It's creating this coily brace, so it should have been in a coily brace. Wow, everything slipped on us now. Everything should be in the coily brace. Yeah, everything should be in the coily brace. All right. So after creating the user, next is to do what? Save it. So await new user dot save user dot save, and now we have saved the user. We have saved the user. Finally, we have saved the user. User is now created with the hash password and saved to the database using the new. All right. Hold on, I'm coming. Seconds. All right. So next thing now is to, after creating the user, now we have to create the access token. So the access token is more like a short-lived token that allows the user to perform actions while being logged into the application. So while the user is logged into the application, he or she will be able to create tags, delete tags, and all those stuff. So they are being able to do that because of the access token that is active. So if it expires, it will require them to they will be logged out and they'll have to log in again to continue the same flow. So we need to create the access token for that particular user. The whole idea of this access token is to make our application more rigid and secured, right? So that unwanted users, if you are not a user, you won't be able to create a tax. You won't even have access to the UI, the dashboard of the tax master application. So we need to create an access token for that user. Okay. Generating the token. So so how do we do that? Once access token equal to there is what we call in the dependencies, right? One of the dependencies, there is what we call, let me go to the dependency so we see what I'm trying to say. The dependency. So JSON web token helps us with the access token, like it authenticates a user, right? It helps to authenticate the user, giving that access token to that particular user. So I have to import it first. Const JWT equal to require then passing the JSON web token. All right, so that's just basically that. So I need to call it now. So generating it, I call in JWT dot sign, JWT dot sign, synchronously sign the given payload into a JSON web token string payload to sign could be literal, blah 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 blah. So JWT dot sign, that func method takes care of that. So it first takes in the payload, which is the ID credentials, right? So it takes in the ID credentials, and I do not want to start passing in the email password name into this. So what I'm interested in is, we all know that one thing you should put in mind from our knowledge of OP is that any user that is created, for every user that is created, there is automatically an ID assigned to that particular user. There is an ID. So once you're able to get that ID, you can get other details of that user. With that user, is that ID I would use to authenticate the user and give it the access token, right? Okay. So ID, I have to put it in the curly bracket. ID colon new user dot ID dot underscore ID. Take note of that. So once I want to give this particular user what the but actually I think it's basically, let me just put everything out. So to avoid confusion, let me just put everything out first, just to avoid confusion. So we have the ID, this, then email new user dot email, then comma name new user dot name, right? So is this three I want to pass in. Then after which I would give it, there is a token, right? There is a token that would, remember, in our backend, there are some information that needs to, from our backend now, there's an information, a token secret code that will be used to authenticate this user, right? And we don't want to expose such information. First of all, we have created the payload for the user. Secondly, we want to give it that code. Once that code is there now, it would successfully authenticate this user, which is the code is now in our environment variable. I would not want to expose it because I'm recording this video. So what I'll do is I'll pause the video, then try to do something swift, then I'll play it to show you what happened. All right. So okay, instead of doing that, let me create something first. I'll create a notepad so we all see what I'm trying to do. So don't save. So yeah, this is what I'm trying to do. In my environment file, right? In my environment file, this is an example. I have the first thing is what? Port. So in my port, I have the 4001. Second now is going to be my token secret key, right? My token secret key that will be used to authenticate this user. This is the token secret key for my backend, that for any user that sign in, this token will be used to authenticate that user. So I don't want to expose it, so it looks like this. I gave it a variable name, token. When you reach this stage, you just ask me for the environment content. I'll send it to you. I don't want to expose it to YouTube because for security reasons. Secret key, right? This should be equal to not. This should be equal to there's going to be equal to a random. It's going to be equal to a random key that will be used, right? Okay. Then third is going to be, all right. So we have the token key, secret key. So how do I access my environment? I hope we have not forgotten how to access the environment, right? Process dot env dot the variable name token secret key. So let's just take note of that, right? So after giving it the key, the next is to give it the time it's going to expire, right? You need to know the time it's going to expire. So first is the payload. First is the payload. Second is the jwt.secret, right? Okay. And finally, we give it the time it will expire. When do you want this token to expire, right? Expires in, you want it to expire in what? Maybe 15 minutes. We'll play around with this. We're going to spend much time this in 15 minutes. Should be in a string. Yeah, 15 15 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes. Okay, I can just say comments here, short expiry for access token, short expiry for access token, right? Right, cool. Okay. All right, so I've successfully created the access token, right? Successfully created the access token. Now, the whole idea of this now, let's go back to my user. I don't know why this thing likes models user. For every access token that is created, once it expires, I need, instead of the user to be logged out, right? Instead of the user to be always logging out, like automatically, I need something behind the scene under the hood that will be refreshing the token, will be refreshing the access token, right? Once the 15 minutes is when the 15 minutes has expired, something that would refresh the token continually. So why is this useful? Like, why do I need a refresh token on an access token, right? When you are logged in, right? For when you're logged in, if you've noticed, using, let me use OTP, like OTP code, for example, you are sent, for those that maybe buys order some stuff online, right? Then they send you an OTP code which would expire in 30 seconds, right? If you've noticed that. The reason why it's 30 seconds is because in that 30 seconds, it will shock you that there are some hackers that are trying to guess that code so they can divert the funds. How they're going to do about it, they will divert the funds and you're not going to get what you want. In fact, you'll be duped, right? So in that 30 seconds, there are people that will be trying to get guess your the code, OTP code that was sent to you. And imagine you were sent an OTP code that will expire in 2 years' time. So you can see now it's not safe because 2 years is enough for them to guess and crack the right code that was sent to you. So you do not want to give them the time, that much time. You do not want to give them that time for them to guess the OTP code that was sent to you, right? Cool. So what I'm saying is, even this 15 minutes, right? This 15 minutes is short, is a short time actually for them to guess the access token, because once they're able to get this token that was assigned to you, they can do anything they want to do with your application. They can decide to delete important tags that you created, and that's not what you want. So as a backend developer, we are trying to make things safer, application safer for the users using it, right? So we create the token for the user, right, and give it 15 minutes to expire. So once it's expired, we don't want the situation where by the user wants to create a task and he just automatically locks it. He or she is being logged out, and the stress of logging in again. Imagine that. We don't want that. We want a scenario whereby once the token expire, the user is not aware of what is going on self. He is creating the task. He doesn't know that the token has expired because there is something that is refreshing the token after it has expired, and that is preventing the user from being logged out, right? So that's what we want to do now. And that brings us to um, creating the refresh token for the user for when the access token is expired, right? It refreshes it and gives the user a new one, right? Cool. Hope you understand creating a refresh token. Creating a refresh token. So how do we create a refresh token? How do we create a refresh token? And mind you, okay, let me just write it first. So once refresh token, right? Once refresh token equal to dwt dot sign, same way. So this one now, this is tied to the database. We want to get, for every token that was access token that will be created, a refresh token will also be created and saved to the user, right? Should in case the access token expire, it will use this user refresh token to refresh the access token and give it a new one, right? That is why we have this property here, refresh token. That's why we have this. It's this refresh token that will be used to refresh the access token for the user. So we need to create the refresh token and store it for the user, which will be used to refresh the token when it expires, right? Fine. So so I need to get the user ID. So ID colon new user dot id, right? So after that, next is the refresh token secret key. So we have the access token secret key, and we have the refresh token secret key that will be used for the authentication of the refresh token, which is also in our environment variable. So we have the refresh token secret key, right? We have that as well there. So we need to access this variable, and from our knowledge of accessing environment variable, you just call in. Let me just copy this. Oh crap! Copy this, paste it here. Process that refresh token secret key, right? Refresh token secret key. Then this token, right? We can just say let it expire, right? It's going to expire in maybe 7 days, right? Let's say it's going to expire in. Now watch the gist. If I say let this refresh token expire in let's say, mind you, no one has access to this refresh token, right? If I say let this refresh token secret key expires in let's say expires in 20, let me say 24 days. Let's say it's the 24 days, 24 days. If I say let's say expire in 24 days, it keeps refreshing. But when the refresh token expires, right, it automatically deletes the refresh token from the database, and it will require the user to log in again. I don't know if you get, because there is no refresh token to refresh the access token, right? It will require the user to log in again. That's why most applications like maybe GitHub or Facebook, whereby you've noticed when you just log into the application and it goes well, that maybe after like 3 or 4 months or maybe 1 year or 2 years, you notice that they require you to input your password and login details. That's because the refresh token has expired, and you need to log in again to create a new access token and a new refresh token that will expire in 24 days or in 2 years time, right? Cool. So let's say let this expire in let's say 30 minutes. We'll play around with this anyway. It's going to be practical. We'll just see how everything works out. So let's just get ready. We're going to play around with this sign up functions for you. It will become very clear to you. All right, so I created the refresh token. So after creating the refresh token, I need to assign this refresh token that has been created to the new user, just as this user has been created. So I need to assign it so it will be stored in the database. So to do that, it's new. I call in the new user dot the property, which is refresh token, right? Equal to this refresh token that was created. Right, so now I've assigned the refresh token to it. Next thing is to save everything. Await new user dot save. New user dot save. Await new user dot save. Cool. Now we have created the refresh token. Right? Alright. Now I want to introduce you guys to, there are two ways of authenticating or validating a user, right? We use the JSON web token, and we also use what we call cookies. So I don't know if I would just implement the cookies here, or I'll just leave it for now, right? Let's just leave the cookies for now. Maybe later I would come to that. So what I would do is going to like to do implement cookies later. Implement cookies later. So this to do now is more like something you want to do later on. No, it's not important now. So you just click to do, so that in case you have built this application and you forgot to implement this, and you remember that there is a to do somewhere, you can actually go, you can click on control, you can come here, yeah, search this thing and check for any to do. I think how does this work, right? You can actually go to file, search for text. I think it's search for text. Yeah, search for text to do. So once you type to do, it shows you all the to-dos that you need to take care of or implement, which is this. And we click on it, takes you to this, right? So for something you'd want to do later, maybe your spare time, yeah, you can implement the cookies, right? Very good. After that, what is the next thing now? Our next thing now is to return the status, right? Once everything is successful, once everything is successful. So once everything is successful, we need to return it, right? Return the response dot status, right? Response dot status 201, which is successful dot JSON, then passing the success. These are information the front end might need, which is true. Then we can pass in a message. Maybe the front end needs a message from the back end, which is saying the registration successful, right? Then the next one is the user, right? It was created, which is what were we passing? Passing the email, right? Passing the email, new user, okay, new user dot email, right? Then passing the what ID, new user dot underscore ID, then the name colon news user dot name. And also, if you want to send your refresh token, you can do that. But this is the response the front end needs, actually, right? Okay. You can also send your refresh token because the front end would need it. Yeah, it will need it to authenticate this thing, right? Hold on, I'm coming. All right, so sending in the name, and finally fresh token, new user dot, in case the front end wants to handle that, the front end, right? Okay. fresh token. All right. So after the user, what else? I think nothing much. So we need to catch any error. If there's any error, catch it here. So error from the user. Let's go to the tags first and try to get what we did here. Okay. Let me switch to this and import a record when signing a user. So after that, we need to return a response dot status 500. We can 500 means server error, right? Here's when signing up and no way, it's a server error. JSON. So success, leave it false. Message for the backend, you can just say server error, right? Okay. Then the message error that says error dot message. Okay. Yeah, good to go. So we have finally set our user controller up, right? There's a whole lot. So next is to export it. We need to export it. So how do we export this function to be used for our router? So module dot export. Who is calling me? Hold on, guys. I'll be right back. All right. So module dot export sign up. I want to export this function. Hold on. So I'll go to my route. This is my route, tax route. So I need to create, okay, the user route. This is the user route. Then let me just copy the same thing here and do some changes. Mind you, still the same thing, no, just because of time. Express, same flow router. This time around, sign up is the sign up I want to get. Controller and the user controller I want to get. Okay. Then this is slash sign up, right? Then module export. So we have created the user, after which I go to my, it's the same flow. Once you understand the tax on this one is just the cruise, you know, you're just creating two endpoints actually. So hold on a bit. Okay, so app user APIs, the tax routes. It's the same way. I have to create the route for the user. Let me just paste this and do some changes. So it's going to be user route, then the user route, right? Right, and I would call in. Okay, so this is going to be slash API user. So we have successfully set up our sign up for the user. So in our next class, be on postman testing, strictly testing using postman. Yeah, anything testing. So get ready for that. Thank you and bye.